Joining me now for a closer look at what's playing itself out in that market scene is Odwa Magwentshu from Trive Investments. Odwa, a pleasure. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Oltando.
All right, better days, I would say. Today, more green in Europe. Definitely all greens we're seeing here. Let's just talk about just the volatility we've seen this week alone. It's been, 3 days? It's been quite a journey, though.
100%. I think with regards to today, a major of the moves are, in the back of the cabinet not finally being taken up, and that's, giving a little bit of instability to the market and the market participants not really sure how things are going to go out. We've also seen, if you go offshore a bit, in the United States, NVIDIA losing its #1 rank from Friday. Some people attribute that to profit taking, so that could be the reason that side.
Also interesting, I think, that we are seeing here is just issues around EVs. We often forget that this is an emerging trend in the world. Let's first talk about EU, China, and the tariffs. I just want to get your thoughts on this issue, because what we know for sure is that China still manufactures these EVs much cheaper than I think anywhere else in the world. And I'm wondering if these tariffs might actually dampen demand for them.
100%. So, I mean, the main thing that's been helping China is that they've been selling them quite cheaply, and they've been able to penetrate a lot of markets, more specifically if you look at the South American market, where they've been getting a lot of traction that side. However, China has been getting hit by a lot of tariffs. The United States started last month with Joe Biden announcing near 100% tariffs to that front. And then now the EU is also starting to also raise their tariffs, offering, or saying that they're looking to give 17% tariff to BYD in particular. So they have been hit quite aggressively. China yesterday saying that they would like those tariffs scrapped by the 4th of July. So they are fighting back, saying that these are counterproductive.
It's very interesting to see China give a deadline there. It's not something you hear often, but I guess all of it is in the audaciousness of the nature of these kinds of negotiations. Another interesting one here, let's talk about the possibility, or even I think the going ahead of VW, that acquisition that they've made, also into EVs. I'm not sure what that tells us about the strategy for VW going forward.
It's a very interesting $5 billion deal with a joint venture with Rivian that they're looking to do. First, starting off with $1 billion that they're going to be sending through this year. So the remainder of the deal will come through as the time goes. It's a very interesting acquisition from VW, but VW is well known for buying companies and these motorcycles. Now, if you look at the European zone in terms of cars, they have been struggling in terms of the EV production on that front. And another interesting fact is that a lot of these companies are also buying the battery capabilities of made joint ventures with CATL, which is a battery producer, and they have done quite an interesting move inside, not only in the European Union, so the likes of BMW is buying batteries from them, but also Ford. There's a joint venture that they announced beginning of the year with Ford and CATL, where they will be producing these batteries in America. So now China's upper hand in this, they've stated that if they do not go ahead with these tariffs, what's going to happen then is that because China is also a big purchaser of European cars, they might add tariffs to hinder that market for them.
Very interesting. Do we call this a trade war of sorts, or is it just tough negotiations?
Right now, it's tough negotiations, but it is leaning towards the trade war. That's the thing we have to look at. And I mean, U.S. has been very strong on these. Well, you see with semiconductors how they've limited China's ability to get the latest in the AI or semiconductors from the likes of TSMC. So this could be a continuation of that broader trade war that they've been having.
Another interesting one that emerged, of course, today, Rainbow Chicken on the JSE. Although let's talk about this. Of course, we welcome new listings. The JSE certainly can't have too many new listings. But Rainbow Chicken as a pure poultry play on the local bourse, is that something that might, whet the appetite of investors?
I think it might be a nice, nice gain into the JSE. Obviously, we can't have too much. We've had a very, a lot of companies leave the JSE or announce that they're looking to go away from the JSE, such as PSG. I do think that Rainbow Chicken alone will be interesting, as there is still that threat of the bird flu still in the air at the moment. So that could hinder that share in particular. However, the share has been doing well if you look at the results that they put up. So it's interesting to see how the individual listing of the business is going to play out.
And then talking about that, the JSE's listing pipeline actually is very interesting. Yesterday we saw a psilocybin coming on. Of course, they're a SPAC at this point, but every intention at some point to get onto the local bourse. We saw We Buy Cars earlier this year, but we also heard of Boxer that's coming on, Coca-Cola Beverages Africa. It does actually look like companies are not waiting for the economic or the macroeconomics to look better, Odwa. If it's the right thing strategically, they're going ahead with it.
100%. I think we have to take into consideration that two of those listings are actually a method of businesses to raise funds, the Boxer, and if you're looking at We Buy Cars as well, just separating the smaller businesses or the profitable businesses from the struggling, such as your transaction capital and your pick and pay. So it is a good way to raise funds for those two in particular. However, I do think that across the board, it is right now a good time, even though things on a macro level aren't going very well.
Well, that's it. Odwa, I want to get into your stock pick, but first let's take a look at counters that your industry peers have also liked.
I think it's still trading at a reasonably good valuation, and I think there's a potential uplift across the entire retail discretionary space. And I think the Brazil story is still very early days. It's still quite small in their lives, but they've got quite big expansion plans, quite a big roadmap, and a significant opportunity there as well, which over the longer term could provide a nice little kicker as well.
My boat is being floated by a company that's listed in Switzerland. It's called Swissquote, and it's the leading online trading platform in Switzerland. They've been so successful in Switzerland, they've actually branched out to other countries as well. Even some South Africans, as far as I know, use Swissquote. And it's not just for trading shares, it's also a bank. So you can have a proper full transactional banking account. It's also used by a lot of financial advisors to manage their clients' finances and moving money around between cash and shares. And they also offer funds. So you can invest in funds also around the world.
So it's one that we rarely talk about, and that's Telkom. I looked at their results recently, and they seem to be on the right track. They've sold they're in the process of selling their masts business, which will bring in enough money to pay down their debt. And then the fiber business is actually quite a solid business, and it's growing really well, particularly at a time when its biggest competitor, which is the massive group that's in Remgro and I suppose Vodacom want to invest in, is struggling a little bit from a capitalization issue. So they've got the whole market to themselves. They're growing really well, and their mobile business is actually doing better than both Vodacom and MTN.
All right, Odwa, keen to get your thoughts on some of those Swissquote, Telkom, as well as Pepkor.
Pepkor is a very good business locally. It's gained a lot of traction in recent years, obviously with the struggling consumer, and I think that is a good purchase. If we look at Telkom, on the other hand, it's also another company that is currently getting out of its troubled past, especially with the sell-off of Swiftnet. And the Swiss company, I haven't heard much on it, so I don't have much to say on that.
And which counter do you love this afternoon?
Today, I would like CATL. It's a battery producer in China. They've come out with a lot of great products, also doubled in revenue from 2021 to the 2023, and that's why I'm going with that one in particular.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, Odwa. Always a pleasure having you on Business Lunch. That was your Midday Markets Update with Trive Investments, Odwa Magwentshu.